Aguero agrees Barça switch, Bayern enter Gini talks, Arteta plans Odegarrd replacement, a transfer roundup, and today's Friday feels all coming up in the next few minutes as I'm your host Matt Froelich, you are the OneFootballers, and this is the Daily News. First up, and Sergio Aguero is edging ever closer to his move to Barcelona, and this is something that's been talked about for quite some time. It seemed rather inevitable, but finally it looks like he may be this close to putting pen to paper. Apparently his medical is set for a few days after the Champions League final because, of course, Aguero and Manchester City still have a job to do. What he will be doing, though, is heading to the new camp on a 2-year deal on around €5 million per season. And, of course, he'll be linking up with Lionel Messi. Both he and Messi have been together with the national team since they were around 17 in so many of the youth categories and the first team level as well, and they are the best of friends. But this does beg the question to me, why on earth have Barcelona sold Luis Suarez last season, at the age of 34 now, for Sergio Aguero, who's going to be 33 this season? It doesn't make sense because this was the whole point of Ronald Koeman's transfer policy, like to get rid of some of the older players. Barcelona obviously looking to the future, so then 1 year later to go and sign Aguero isn't exactly ideal. I can't help but thinking this is a little bit of the plan to keep Lionel Messi at the club. I mean, selling Suarez, they literally could have just held on to him instead of giving him to a title rival who he is now helping to win the title ahead of Barcelona. Doesn't look like the smartest move in hindsight. As for Aguero, though, he is still a top player. Like, yes, I'm talking about him being 33 in a few weeks' time, but come on. This is Sergio Aguero, and playing up front of Barcelona with his friend Lionel Messi as well, you can only expect to see a hell of a lot of goals next season. On top of this, like I mentioned with Barcelona's strategy, despite the fact he is a little bit older than the signings you'd expect to make for a team in a transition period, he is also coming in on a free transfer, which again alludes more to Barcelona's strategy over the summer. And talking of potential free transfers for Barca, one of them looks like it might not happen. So yes, there's been loads of talk about Sergio Aguero joining and Memphis Depay as well, and Gini Wijnaldum is another one on this list. But apparently it's not Barcelona anymore, it's Bayern Munich. The German club were not really interested in entering talks with Gini Wijnaldum a few months ago, mainly because he is getting on a little bit and the potential resale value isn't huge for Bayern. On top of this, when they entered negotiations with Liverpool over Thiago last summer, apparently Liverpool were trying to sell the idea of sending Gini Wijnaldum in the opposite direction, but the player wanted to move to Barcelona at that point. Since talks of Barca have then broken down, and since Liverpool and Bayern Munich have both been in talks with Gini Wijnaldum, it looks like he could be heading to the Bundesliga. The club have said to have done a U-turn on negotiations because they've seen how good the player can be, they've seen how he'll fit into their squad, and on seeing a rather paper-thin midfield when it comes to strength in depth at Bayern Munich, it would be a pretty good idea to have him for just a few more seasons. Like I mentioned before, he is getting into his 30s, but of all the players out of contract this summer, he is one of the most valuable, still valued at around €35 million according to Transfermarkt, and he's still got a good few years left in him. On top of all of this, like with many good Bayern Munich transfers, he's also going to be coming in on a free. Next up then, and we're talking about replacements, and Mikel Arteta needs a Martin Odegaard replacement. Since coming in on loan from Real Madrid, he's been absolutely fantastic, even though stats-wise, he only picked up his first Premier League assist of the season with that brilliant ball into Gabriel Martinelli against Crystal Palace. At the moment, though, the stance from parent club Real Madrid is that they want Martin Odegaard back, and he will feature in the first team next season. Of course, we heard this last summer when they brought him back from Real Sociedad, and then 6 months later he was shipped out on loan again. But never mind, with Zinedine Zidane probably leaving the club at the end of the campaign, Martin Odegaard could have a new fresh chance to impress the incoming manager at Real Madrid. And this obviously leaves Mikel Arteta with a bit of a problem, and it's in that number 10 area of the pitch. Now, they do have quite a few attackers who could play all across those attacking three midfield positions. You've of course got Bukayo Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe, there's also out on the right hand side there's Nicola Pepe, who knows where Willian's going to be next season. Joe Willock could be coming back on loan from returning from loan and staying permanently with the Arsenal squad, but the one man they've been linked with is Emi Buendia, who has had an astonishing season helping Norwich to the Championship title and to being promoted to the Premier League. Because of his 15 goals and 17 assists and wonderful performances, because he's been called up to the Argentina national squad, he's of course going to cost a little bit more money. And apparently 40 million is the price tag on Emi Buendia's head. Honestly, I think he's worth it. You know what? Signing players to the Championship is getting more expensive. Signing players that have helped their team be promoted, so technically they're now Premier League players, is obviously going to be more expensive. But when you see the quality that a 24-year-old has got, he is brilliant. Certainly better than some options Arsenal got at the moment. And under Mikel Arteta, you'd like to think that he would take on a more tactical understanding of the game and really add different elements to his approach to attacking, and it could only benefit him and Arsenal in the future. I really think if Martin Odegaard is to leave and not come back, this would be a fantastic replacement for him. Moving into the transfer roundup next, as we have bits of transfer news that you may have missed in the last 24 hours or so, or just news in general. One of them being that the Footballers' Writers Association in England have voted Ruben Dias as the player of the season. That isn't the necessarily quote-unquote official player of the season you guys are looking for. Those are at the PFA Awards, which I believe are coming in a few weeks. Elsewhere, and Thomas Tuchel is still interested in bringing fellow German Niklas Süle to Stamford Bridge. Gareth Bale could potentially re-sign with Spurs for another season on loan. And David Beckham and Steven Gerrard are the latest inductees into the Premier League Hall of Fame, alongside the likes of Lampard, Henry, Bergkamp and Alan Shearer. Finally then, we come to this week's Friday Feels, the last one of the season. This is a little bit sad, but never fear, because the Euros are here, so there'll be loads of Friday Feels coming up this summer. Anyway, with a rather interesting weekend of football ahead of us. First off, I'm going to go for Liverpool and Chelsea to finish in the top four. Bad news for Leicester. Next up, and I think the Juventus will also sneak into the top four on the final day of the season. And finally, Lille are going to win at the weekend and take home an unexpected Liga title. So that's all from me then. Make sure you check out everything else we've got going on OneFootball. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.